Okay, so since I'm doing a project about Elizabethan costume, I figured I'd show off a little bit of the costume that I came up with. And so we're going to explain kind of women's clothing because that was the most complicated back then. And this is a courting outfit. So this is everything that you could ever wear all thrown into one. So first of all, there was a smock, and that's also known as a shift. And that was a dress that went under everything to protect everything from skin contact so that you didn't have to wash it as much. And then there's stockings, and those would come up to just above the knee. And nobody would really see those, but it was kind of supposed to be worn. And then there was a corset, and that was supposed to create a flat front line, which means that not only did it cinch your waist, it also flattened right here and all the way down so that it looked like it was just one line. And then there was the Spanish farthingale, and that was basically just a hoop skirt, but it would either be a cone, so it would come out like that, or an A-line, so it would go like this. And then they had a bum roll, which actually sounds really funny, but they would put it around their hips to add volume to their hips, so you couldn't tell how big their hips really were. And then there were petticoats, and that kind of added volume to the skirt too, and made it so that you couldn't see the farthingale from the skirt. And then there was a kirtle, and that's just an underskirt. Yeah, it's basically all. And then there's the forepart, and that's like basically this part right here, and that is what was attached to the kirtle, and it's part of the kirtle that actually shows. So they would have it split up like I have, and then you could see the design under the gown. And then they had a partlet, which went on the top. It was a high waist or a high necked vest, and the neck would show, but none of the rest of it would show. Don't ask me why they wore it all the way down, because I don't know. And then there was the gown, and that's kind of self-explanatory, but then they had sleeves, and they actually had detachable sleeves, so you could take them off and back on. And that was basically for women that worked, so that when they worked, they could take them off and pin them behind their back, so they were out of their way. And they were meant to kind of match the gown. And I did make some of those, but they didn't work out right. So, and then they had shoes, and shoes are pretty self-explanatory too. The shoes that I have on are heels. They probably wouldn't have worn heels back then, but hey, whatever works. And then they had headwear. And I think the most interesting thing about their headwear is when they would put it up in a bun. Personally, I always have trouble getting my hair to stay up. But they had something called hair tape, and it was basically just a blunt needle that would sew your hair in place so that it wouldn't fall off your head, like literally fall off your head. You get it. And then there was makeup, and makeup was rarely worn except for when you were being courted. And when it was worn, it would just be white foundation. Yeah, not even a skin tone, just white. And then they would put like a chartreuse color on your cheeks and your lips. And that's just a very light color of pink. It's not very flashy at all. And they had ruffs, and you've seen these even if you don't know what they were called, but they were those bows that went like this, and they kind of puffed out a little bit. And they were basically just folded into figure eights by whoever was their servant. And then when they'd wear them, they just wore them to kind of cover up the partlet. And there was jewelry, and the only jewelry that I found from that era was a carcanet, and that's just a jeweled choker. And then you got the protective clothing to protect your dress, which I don't have on because I'm not outside. But first there's the safeguard, and it's a protective outer skirt, and it protects the skirt from the elements like rain and wind, so that you don't get your skirt dirty, which would be very helpful. and then a cape, and it conceals the bow dice, which is right here, and the sleeves while you're outdoors, because it was considered unladylike to show that stuff while you were outside. And so that's it.